Good morning. Welcome to Just for Today, a time of eclectic readings, sharing of perspectives, meditation, and prayer. I am Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader at the newly joined Columbia's Center for Spiritual Living and Greater Baltimore. Today is March 1st. So this morning's reading comes from comes from an NA literature, Narcotics Anonymous literature, and I invite you to listen to it as applicable to any place where you either have a desire to belong or you naturally belong. Society, your family, the human race, all of the above. So check this out. The spiritual principle of the day, March 1st, self-acceptance and our sense of belonging. And it begins with a quote from Living Clean, Chapter 2, Connecting to Others, that reads, "We learn to accept and love who we are, whether or not we feel like we match the people around us." And so here's the reading. For so long, we wanted to be anyone else because we were uncomfortable in our own skin. Many of us felt like we didn't fit in anywhere, and it's no different when we first get to NA. We compare our insides to the outward appearances of others and draw the usual conclusions. All we could see were the differences, and no one looked like we felt. Not that we had a firm grip on who we were or even how we felt. Our identity was built on fantasy. Who we could be, who we could be, would be, should be, or even who we used to be. With precious little self-knowledge, it was difficult to build the bonds of human connection. Our ability to share with and relate to others was limited at best. We justified keeping others at arm's length with assumptions based on old thinking and outward appearances. The outsides were what seemed to matter most. One member shared, "I shielded the scared little girl inside with spikes and leather. I looked for others with similar armor, thinking maybe we could be alone together." In recovery, we learn to act our way into better thinking. We begin by emulating people who we admire and picking up new behaviors that seem to fit. We do the next right thing, knowing that we don't have to feel okay to be okay. We learn to practice love as a spiritual principle by simply listening to others. Sometimes we learn to love and accept others as they confront their greatest challenges. The new member, the recent widow, the cancer survivor, the parents fighting for custody of their children. We relate to their insides, their grief, their struggle, their vulnerability as they share their pain. Moments like these bring us back to humanity. The conditions of our own brokenness may have been vastly different, but we connect based on feelings. We let go of our old ideas about fitting in or matching those around us. The basis of our connections shifts to higher ground. Who needs to fit in when we belong? We learn to practice love and acceptance of ourselves and others a little more fully in the safe harbor of belonging. And the affirmation this morning is, "I will examine my ideas about fitting in and discard some old thinking. Today, I will practice the principle of love by looking for opportunities to connect with other members." What a beautiful reading And, this whole idea of belonging, I think some of us use that term without understanding what we're actually saying. True belonging doesn't require us to change anything. It empowers us to change everything. Belonging doesn't require us to fit in. And so if you're using the term belonging and you have a checklist of what people need to do to fit in to what you're inviting them to belong to, that's not belonging. That's fitting in. That's assimilation. The beauty of humanity, I think, the beauty of humanity is that we're all different. We have many, many similarities, and every human being is a brilliantly, intentionally individualization of creation. Just like snowflakes and blades of grass and crickets and sunsets and sunrises, we're not supposed to be the same. You won't be the same when you go to bed tonight as you were when you woke up this morning. We won't be the same 5 minutes from now. If you're watching this video, you won't be the same you that started watching it when you finish watching it, because we are constantly changing. And perhaps belonging is less about fitting in and more about embracing who we are. Before I can belong anywhere, I have to let myself belong to me. I have to embrace and own all the parts of me, even the ones I don't like. Because typically the things I dislike about myself are changeable. They're physical, their character, their behaviors. All of that is changeable. And so I invite you to check out and maybe consider changing your litmus test for belonging. Maybe eliminate the litmus test altogether and simply allow yourself to belong simply because you be. That's what's alive in me with that reading this morning. I see we have one person that has joined, and I'm aware that you didn't get the whole reading. And I'm curious if you have any thoughts that you want to share about belonging and how that's working for you, how it's challenging for you. Any thoughts at all about belonging before we go into our meditation? Okay. So regardless of when you're watching this, if you have perspectives that you'd like to share, you can always share them in the comments of the replay. So now we're going to go into our meditation. It is a 5-minute meditation practice. It is timed. If you're new to meditation, I invite you to just simply be for the next 5 minutes. Without judgment, without agenda, just be. I will close us out at the end of the 5 minutes with a spiritual mind treatment. Okay, here we go. So I bring my attention, my awareness, to the consciousness that I am, to the consciousness of all, to the one consciousness that is the substance of a whole, perfect, and complete creation. A creation that is continuously expressing itself in exquisitely diverse, individualized expressions, expanding its experience and expression of itself. Nameless, changeless, one, known by many, many names, experienced in many, many ways, and yet always one, never separate from itself, never used up, never depleted. All life, all that is seen, all that is unseen, is this one. So I must be it expressing individualized as the activity that I call my life. And what is true of me must be true of all in this physical realm. From the tiniest mosquito, it becomes excruciatingly loud in the silence of night, to the most majestic mountain, to the cosmos, to the universe, to all that lies beyond, that is yet to be discovered, that is yet to be seen. And all of it belongs. Every exquisite individualized expression of creation belongs exactly as it is. No requirement to fit in to another's idea or perspective, but rather cherished exactly as each expression is. And so I claim and affirm that I move through this day in awe of creation, however it shows up. That I move through this day in the spirit and awareness of recognition, of belonging, of a palpable experience that everyone and everything I experience is a shared experience in the one body. I claim and affirm that I see that inextricable connection that all of creation shares. That unified one expressing. I claim and affirm the appreciation of differences, free of separation. Deserving of celebration. The celebration of belonging. Celebration simply because it, we, they, whatever names we're using, exist. And that every expression of creation is loved and celebrated and held in awe. That collectively we are developing the capacity to see beyond behavior to the truth of being. And as we see the truth of being and hold that, we amplify its expression. And all of the smoke screens and behaviors that hide the truth of who and what we are dissipate in the light of truth. And every moment we move closer and closer to a realization, to making real in this physical realm the harmonious operation of one that we are. That leadership at every level from the relationship to the home, to the organizations, to the towns and cities and states and counties, to the countries, to the continents. That leadership is awakening to the truth within them that knows there is no power over in one. There is nothing to oppress. That oppression of another oppresses the self. That our human desire for power is a hunger that feeds on freedom. And as we become aware of the truth of our being, that hunger is filled with love. That hunger is replaced with satiation of spirit, spiritual principle, peace, love, beauty, joy, equity, awe, and wonder. I see it. I feel it. And I stand on the agency of the law of creation that receives the impress of its own mind and acts upon it, making it so. The activity of creation that receives the idea and says yes to itself. And so knowing it is complete, I live in that knowing, letting go of my limited human perspective of time and space, letting go of the lie that I'll believe it when I see it, knowing that when I believe it, I'll see it. And so I choose to see it. To see it mentally. To see it spiritually. To know that it is already done. To release the constraints of time and space. To release the limitations of my own human thinking. And in its place, faith. A belief in the substance of things not seen. The substance. Consciousness itself, one reality. I let go, anchoring my release in the belief of the substance of things not seen. It is done. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amin. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.